German military planners had perfected logistics by 1941. Their calculations were precise, their supply chains efficient, their expectations reasonable. A single panzer division required 17 tons of ammunition, fuel and supplies daily during active operations. German quartermasters could predict consumption rates down to the level of individual rifle cartridges. What they couldn't predict was facing an enemy that would deliver 10 times that amount to every American division, every single day for years. The miscalculation wasn't about math, it was about imagination. American industrial capacity operated on principles that seemed economically irrational to European military minds. When German planners estimated American production potential in 1940, they based calculations on European factory systems, labor practices, and resource constraints. They assumed manufacturing followed rules everyone understood. Assembly lines had limits, steel production had ceilings, worker productivity plateaued at predictable levels. Every assumption was wrong. Henry Ford had revolutionized manufacturing 2 decades earlier with his Highland Park plant, but the implications hadn't fully registered across the Atlantic. German engineers visited Ford facilities in the 30s, toured the assembly lines and took detailed notes. What they witnessed seemed impressive, but not threatening. In their minds, automobile production bore little resemblance to military logistics. That perspective would prove catastrophically flawed. American industry didn't just scale up existing methods when war came, it fundamentally reimagined how goods moved from raw materials to frontline soldiers. The Willow Run plant outside Detroit embodied this transformation. Ford designed the facility to produce B-24 Liberator bombers using automotive assembly techniques. The building stretched over 3 million square feet with a production line so long that workers used bicycles to traverse it. German intelligence officers reviewing reports from neutral observers dismissed the claims as propaganda. No factory could produce a heavy bomber every 63 minutes. The complexity of aircraft manufacturing made such speed impossible. Precision instruments, specialized components, intricate systems, all required skilled craftsmen working methodically. Except Willow Run actually did it. Peak production reached 1 bomber per hour. The philosophical difference ran deeper than factory efficiency. German military logistics followed centuries of European warfare tradition. Armies moved at the speed of their supply trains. Offensive operations paused when stockpiles depleted. Quartermasters calculated consumption rates, established depots at prescribed intervals, and maintained careful ratios between combat units and support personnel. American planners threw out the playbook entirely. Why limit offensives to supply availability when you could simply produce unlimited supplies? The question seemed absurd to German thinking. Resources weren't unlimited. Industrial capacity had boundaries, economic constraints existed, but American economists had discovered something European planners missed. Industrial capacity wasn't fixed. It was elastic, responsive to demand in ways that defied traditional assumptions. When the US needed more ships, Henry Kaiser built shipyards that could construct Liberty ships in 42 days instead of the standard 4 months. When aircraft production needed acceleration, factories hired workers who'd never seen an airplane and trained them in weeks. The numbers told an implausible story. In 1941, America produced 4,000 aircraft. By 1944, that figure reached 96,000. Tank production jumped from 4,000 to 17,000 annually. Ship construction exploded from modest peacetime levels to a new vessel launched every 8 hours at peak production. German planners reviewing these statistics assumed either gross exaggeration or catastrophic quality problems. Surely American equipment sacrificed durability for quantity. Mass production meant corner cutting, simplified designs, and inferior materials. They were half right. American equipment was simpler. The M4 Sherman tank used commercial truck parts, whereas German panzers employed custom-engineered components. American rifles featured looser tolerances than German precision firearms. Supply trucks relied on standardized components rather than specialized designs. What German analysts missed was that simplicity created an overwhelming advantage. When a Sherman broke down, mechanics replaced entire engine blocks in hours, using identical parts across thousands of vehicles. German panzer crews waited days or weeks for custom components manufactured in distant factories. American soldiers swapped rifle parts in the field. German armories required specialized tools and trained gunsmiths. The logistics multiplication effect became apparent in North Africa when American forces first clashed with German units in 1943. Wehrmacht officers captured near Kasserine Pass expressed genuine confusion during interrogations. American supply dumps contained reserves that exceeded the German entire theatre stockpiles. Individual American soldiers carried more ammunition than German infantry squads. Artillery batteries fired shells at rates German gunners considered wasteful insanity. One captured German logistics officer's report, discovered in archives decades later, captured the dawning realization. The Americans appear to have no concept of ammunition conservation. Their batteries fire 3 times our standard allotment daily. Either their supply situation is unsustainable, or our intelligence estimates are fundamentally incorrect. The estimates were incorrect by orders of magnitude. American logistics didn't just supply armies, it also supported the war effort. It buried opponents in material excess, making tactical skill increasingly irrelevant. German units could outmaneuver, outfight, and outthink American forces at the tactical level. None of it mattered when American divisions received continuous supply streams that enabled them to attack repeatedly, absorb losses, and maintain pressure indefinitely. The psychological impact matched the material advantage. German soldiers watched American artillery fire continuous bombardments that consumed more shells in hours than German divisions possessed in months. They saw American infantry discard damaged equipment rather than repair it. They witnessed supply trucks delivering fresh uniforms, hot food and mail from home to frontline positions, while German units scrounged for basic necessities. This wasn't just abundance. It was an abundance weaponized into a strategic asset that German planners had never encountered and didn't know how to counter. The question wasn't whether American logistics surprised German planners. The question was how a military tradition built on centuries of European warfare experience failed to anticipate something so obvious in retrospect. The answer reveals assumptions so fundamental that experienced officers never thought to question them. German military doctrine rested on principles refined through Prussian military reforms dating back to the 1800s. Professional officer corps, meticulous planning, tactical excellence, and operational flexibility had delivered victories for over a century. These traditions emphasized quality over quantity, skill over resources, and tactical brilliance over brute force. American military culture developed from entirely different foundations. Civilian leadership dominated military affairs. Industrial efficiency trumped military tradition. Pragmatic solutions mattered more than doctrinal purity. Where German officers studied Clausewitz and Frederick the Great, American planners studied Ford assembly lines and General Electric production schedules. This philosophical divide created blind spots on both sides. Americans initially underestimated German tactical proficiency, suffering embarrassing defeats in North Africa when experienced Wehrmacht units outmaneuvered Green American divisions. But German commanders made the inverse error with far more catastrophic consequences. They dismissed American industrial capacity as irrelevant to military outcomes. Wehrmacht intelligence officers examining American production statistics in 1942 concluded the figures represented propaganda rather than reality. No nation could possibly manufacture equipment at such scales while maintaining quality standards. The numbers had to be exaggerated, or the equipment had to be worthless. Either way, German tactical superiority would compensate. This wasn't stupidity. German officers were analysing American capabilities through the lens of European industrial experience. German factories produced weapons to exacting specifications using skilled craftsmen and precision manufacturing. Increasing production meant months of retooling, worker training, and supply chain reorganisation. The idea that American factories could double or triple output in weeks violated everything German planners understood about industrial production. What they missed was that American industry operated on fundamentally different principles. Standardization wasn't a compromise. It was a strategic choice that enabled production scales impossible under traditional manufacturing methods. When American factories needed more workers, they hired inexperienced laborers and designed production processes around their limitations rather than requiring months of apprenticeship. The bazooka exemplified this approach perfectly. German engineers examining captured bazookas in Tunisia expressed professional disdain for the weapon's crude construction. Welds were rough, tolerances were loose, components showed none of the precision finishing expected in German ordnance. Surely such hastily manufactured weapons would prove unreliable in sustained combat. They functioned flawlessly. Loose tolerances meant dirt and sand didn't jam mechanisms. Simple construction meant field repairs required no specialized tools. Standardized components meant broken parts could be swapped instantly. The weapon's apparent crudeness was deliberate design philosophy that German engineering culture couldn't comprehend. By mid-1944, the cumulative effect of American production had created situations that bordered on absurd. German units in Normandy faced American divisions that discarded damaged equipment rather than repair it, because replacement supplies arrived faster than repair depots could process the damaged items. Artillery units fired ammunition at rates that consumed entire German monthly allocations in a single day. Infantry squads carried more ammunition individually than German platoons possessed collectively. The psychological impact devastated German morale as thoroughly as the material impact degraded German combat effectiveness. Soldiers who'd fought across Europe suddenly faced enemies who seemed to have infinite resources. Every destroyed American tank was replaced within hours. Every depleted American ammunition supply was replenished overnight. German units fought knowing that losses were permanent, while American units viewed their losses as temporary inconveniences. Senior German commanders recognized the futility earlier than frontline troops. Field Marshal Rommel's correspondence from early 1944 showed dawning awareness that tactical brilliance couldn't overcome the material disparity of such magnitude. His forces could win individual battles through superior tactics and operational skill, but strategic victory was impossible when enemies could absorb defeats indefinitely while German losses accumulated irretrievably. The bazooka represented this reality in microcosm. One simple weapon, manufactured by the hundreds of thousands, transformed infantry warfare permanently. German tactical doctrine built on decades of experience became obsolete, not through superior enemy tactics, but through industrial capacity that enabled every American soldier to carry firepower that negated German advantages. Hitler's response to these realities involved increasingly desperate appeals to willpower and fighting spirit, as if determination could substitute for resources. German propaganda emphasized individual heroism and tactical victories while carefully avoiding discussion of strategic mathematics. Frontline soldiers understood what headquarters denied. They were fighting an enemy that could lose every battle and still win the war through sheer material excess. The final year of the war demonstrated this brutal arithmetic repeatedly. German forces in France inflicted higher casualties than they suffered in numerous engagements, yet steadily retreated because American divisions absorbed losses and continued attacking while German units bled irreplaceably. Tiger tanks dominated American Shermans in direct combat, yet American tank production meant that losing 3 Shermans to destroy 1 Tiger was an acceptable exchange ratio that guaranteed eventual American victory. American logistics didn't just supply armies, it buried opposition under a material avalanche, rendering traditional military skill increasingly meaningless. German soldiers could outfight American troops individually. German officers could outmaneuver American commanders tactically. None of it mattered when the enemy could fail repeatedly, learn from mistakes and return with fresh equipment and unlimited ammunition. The bazooka's legacy extended far beyond World War II. Modern infantry anti-tank weapons, from RPGs to javelins, trace their lineage directly to that simple steel tube that transformed warfare in the Italian hills. The principle remains unchanged. Give ordinary soldiers portable firepower that negates enemy advantages, then produce enough weapons that every squad becomes a tank-killing threat. German planners learned too late that industrial capacity was a strategic weapon as decisive as tactical brilliance or operational excellence. By the time they understood American production wasn't propaganda, but an existential threat, the war's outcome was already determined. The question was never whether American industry would overwhelm German military skill, only how long German forces could delay the inevitable. That's what surprised German planners most fundamentally. Not that America possessed industrial capacity, but that Americans had weaponized production itself into military doctrine that rendered traditional warfare obsolete. German military traditions spent centuries perfecting the art of war. American industry spent decades perfecting the art of production. When those two philosophies collided, the outcome was never really in doubt. The bazooka didn't just destroy German tanks, it destroyed German assumptions about what was possible. Sometimes the most devastating weapon isn't the one that kills most efficiently. It's the one your enemy never imagined you could build fast enough to matter. That simple steel tube proved industrial capacity could defeat tactical excellence. Every single time.